Hi everyone, it's Kamau. Welcome back to Kamaudacity. So I'm just here. I'm thinking about crying. You know, this whole thing about crying and the fact that I think persons view crying in a negative way, and I don't. I think crying is a good thing. I think crying is a positive thing, a really positive thing. And I like to cry. I don't cry often. I don't think I cry often. But when I do cry, whenever I cry, I always feel better. I always feel lighter. I always feel stronger. I always feel like I can take on whatever it was that was stressing me out or making me feel insecure or making me feel overwhelmed. Whatever it was, whenever I go through that process of release, that crying, I always feel like I can take it on. So, for those of us who love to cry and who use the opportunity to cry whenever, sometimes, because I'm a strong person, and I did a video on, confessions of a strong black woman, and I was talking about owning that strength, because I've been hearing persons out there saying, almost like they're saying this strong black woman thing is a bad thing to say. The angry black woman, that I think is a negative thing. But to say you're a strong black woman, what is wrong with that? Own it. You deserve it. You've earned it. And if it is the fact, then it is a fact. You are strong. You know what you went through to be able to say, I am strong. So I believe we should own that, right? And part of my strength is my ability to just release, to just cry when it's necessary to do so. Because sometimes things pile up, and as a strong person, you're there for others. You're there for others, and others look up to you for support, and they take you for granted. They don't do it maliciously. I don't think most persons do it maliciously. When you take a strong person for granted, I don't think most persons do it They do it naturally, because that's the persona it's like they just don't think you need it, because they just know you as being that pillar of strength. I remember I was talking to my children once, and this whole issue of crying came up, and I said, I cry sometimes. And they looked at me like, they gave me this look as if, don't be silly, what are you talking about, crying? And my daughter said, I've never seen you cry. I said, no, you've never seen me cry. I didn't cry in front of you, but I cried. They were just so shocked, so amazed, and they did not accept, actually. They could not accept that this woman, their mother, who is always there for everybody, always sober, always sane, always rational, taking care of things, waking up, making sure they're ready for school. She just always handling stuff, handling her work, handling the family, handling everything. And here's this woman telling us that she cries sometimes. What absurdity, what nonsense. And I know a lot of women. I say women because, yes, mostly women, because the men tend to, I know men cry, but not as much, unfortunately. They tend to kind of keep it in and try harder to put up this macho image, because they have been told that it's feminine to cry. You'd be like a sissy to cry. I think more men should cry, and to cry openly to persons who are within your circle, right? Be vulnerable. Allow others to see that you're vulnerable. And the suicide rate among men, I think, would be much less, because men commit suicide at a higher rate than women. And I think one of the reasons is they don't release. I always tell people, I'm not suicidal. I'm not suicidal. There are things in my life that when I listen to other persons there have been other persons who come to me and tell me about having attempted suicide, and not that I'm passing judgment on them, but the reasons that they gave, right? The reasons that they gave for attempting suicide. I know that I have been through worse. I've never been through abuse. I've not had sexual abuse or physical abuse or anything like that. But there are things in my life that I've had to endure psychologically. That's I from the reason that some of these persons give me, I'm saying, what if you had to go through what I had to go through? And I know I went through that and came through so strong, so confident, so happy, because at moments when things built up, came to a head, I released. I remember going to school, and many mornings I would just go up into the lab and I would just cry whenever things got to me. That was I released it. And crying isn't the only way I release. I write. That's one way of release. I write. I'm a writer, and I'm absolutely passionate about writing. I also sing. So those are little ways, avenues of release. Like you have a dam, and when the river overflows, the river that feeds the dam overflows, you have the spillway, those little spews at the top and the sides. They just allow the extra water to flow through. Otherwise, what happens? The dam will collapse. Without that release, the force of that water, that deluge, would break the dam, would collapse the dam. And so you have to have that release, whether you're going to cry it out, sing it out, laugh it out, dance it out, play an instrument, write it out, talk it out, get a punching bag and punch it out some way. Don't take it out on anyone else. Don't take it out on anyone else. Find some way to release it when it builds up. Now I find since this week gone, I think like 3 times I found myself crying. And I think once I was in the shower, and once during my meditation I was saying my affirmations, and I just started to cry. Because, and this has nothing to do with the lockdown. We're going through a lockdown now. Gradually coming out of it, but it's not related to that at all. It's just there are things that issues that I'm trying to resolve in my own self. It has nothing to do with anybody else, right? And sometimes, it comes to a head. It comes to a head, and it could happen anywhere. For me, I could be walking on the street, I could be doing my laps, I could be in the supermarket, I could be in the shower, I could be doing chores. I'll just start crying, and I'll just allow myself to cry. It doesn't matter to me who is looking, because I know that is my strength. So I was in the middle of doing my morning devotion, and I just felt overwhelmed, and I just started crying. And as usual, afterwards, I felt so much better. I felt so lighter, so much lighter. I felt so much stronger. So I guess this video, I guess I'm just touching base with my fellow criers. My fellow criers, whether you're female or male, I'm saying to you, it's a good thing, and I'm encouraging others. If you are not yet criers, join the gang. Join the gang and release, especially at this time with so much stress, so much uncertainty, so much panic, widespread panic, global panic, and people are foreshadowing disaster, foreshadowing we're never going to return to normality. That's what some people are saying. Don't expect any kind of normalcy ever again. Don't expect any kind of security, whether in terms of your job, your finances, your relationships. All of that is over. And so persons are really in trepidation. You need to cry it out. Cry it out whenever you feel overwhelmed, you feel sad, you feel, just go by yourself. Like I said, don't take it out on anyone. You don't need to pull anyone into this with you. This is your personal therapy, right? This is your personal therapy. Just cry it out. To me, I always say crying, for those who are religious and those who believe in prayer, I always say crying is like 10 times prayer. Crying is prayer times 10, because you see, when you cry, it's like you're releasing, you're expressing things that words cannot even express. You're expressing it, you're putting it out there, throwing it into the cosmos. You really are. You're expressing through those tears, through those emotions, you're expressing it 10 times the power that words have, that a prayer can have. Crying is prayer multiplied. For those who are religious, you can think of it in that way. You just get to the point where you're just laying it out. You can't say it, you can't express it, it's too much to say. But just in that action, that release, just in that, you are saying it. You are saying it to whomever you feel is listening, whether you want to call it God, or the ancestors, or your spirit guides, or the cosmos, or the great being, the divine being, whatever name you want to call it, whatever consciousness you want to think of as being out there, it is being expressed to that consciousness without words, because there are just no words sometimes for the depth of emotion that you have. Just no word. Words are very limited, and take this from a writer. This is someone who believes in the power of words, and I'm telling you that words are very, very limited. And when it comes to the point where you have just this intensity of emotion, you need to release it through tears. That's the best way to release it, in my opinion. And it will save you from getting into arguments with people. It will save you from attempting suicide for those who are so inclined. I'm just happy that I have so many ways of expressing, and it has always been this way, so it comes naturally for me. Just like I always say, it's difficult to teach English, to teach creative writing. because as a writer, it comes so naturally to me. I can't fathom how someone would not be able to just say things. It's an issue I have. So I can't teach writing well. I can't teach someone else to write well. I can tell you what I do, but to get you to express it is difficult. So I know that persons have difficulty in expressing, and so you can even use some of the non-verbal ways to, like I said, beat it out on the drum, strum it out on a guitar. Try some of the non-verbal ways, and crying is one of the non-verbal ways. Even though we know sometimes we're crying and we're saying stuff, once in a while some words come out, but it's really a non-verbal way of expressing, right? And it will save you. It will save you from, it can save your life. And men, I'm encouraging you to do some more crying. Even if you don't want to open up to anyone, express it when you're in the bathroom, when you're bathing, when you're on the throne, when you're driving to work, like what many of us women do. Many women, you'll be surprised, some of the strongest women, they cry while they're driving to work. They cry on the lunch break in the bathroom. They cry while putting the baby to bed, while breastfeeding, while cooking. And they will tell you when it's done, they feel better, they feel stronger. They feel like they can go now and take on what they need to take on. Am I right or am I wrong? Those who know what I'm saying, the criers, remember this is for you. I'm reaching out to my fellow criers. So, can you validate what I'm saying? Am I wrong? Don't you feel much stronger? Don't you feel fresher, lighter, calmer when you cry? Yeah. So that's it. I just wanted to reach out and encourage you to express. Find ways of release, find ways of expression, and start fresh. Start fresh. Don't keep it pent up, bottled up inside, or feel like you're less than a woman, less than a man, less than whatever. Be vulnerable, if only to yourself. Be vulnerable, if only to yourself. And if you can find someone else to be vulnerable with, all the better. Alright, so this is Kamau signing off, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.